Hey, welcome to Beyond Film School. I'm Amber, and in this video we are going to be talking about safety on set, what happened on the set of Rust, and why no one should be dying at work on film sets. Before we jump into the video on safety, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell to stay up to date on all the videos I make on the film industry. Safety on set is a very serious thing. And as a first assistant director in the independent world, I take my position very, very seriously because as a first AD, as a first assistant director, you are the safety officer on set. What you say goes as a first AD, and there's a lot of power there. I bring that up because with recent events that have occurred on the film set of Rust that was shooting in New Mexico starring Alec Baldwin have left me shocked, very, very sad, and a bit confused. Well, if I'm honest, really confused, a lot confused about why Halyna Hutchins had to die just for going to work that day. Before we get into the details of Rust and what happened on that set, I have to say that as a first AD that runs sets, the last thing that I want is for someone to be injured, let alone die. That is my literal nightmare as a first AD, is for anyone to die on my set. I do work on a lot of union sets. I work on a lot of independent sets as well. And what I will say for that is that the further away I get from a New York City union film set, the more unsafe it feels for me and the more unsafe it gets. And it's also a lot harder to maintain a safe work environment. In a recent video I did, I talked about the IATSE strike, and I talked about, you know, why were they gonna go on strike? And yes, pay is something that we talk about when it comes to union. You get more pay for working on union sets. But another thing about union sets is that there are a lot of safety things tied into a union set. There's safety training and there's certain safety procedures that have to be done when you're working on a union set. And there's a reason for that. You have a ton of equipment, you have crazy lifts, you have heavy lights. You're doing all this in confined spaces. Now, with all that, let's add in a stunt. Let's add in a fight scene that the actors have to do. Or maybe even the camera operator is going to be put into a high-risk situation. There are a ton of things, a ton of scenarios that have the potential to be dangerous and have the potential to be unsafe. Since this video is about safety, I'm going to put in a lovely 101 safety on set. These are the things to keep in mind to keep everyone safe on your set. Things to keep in mind for safety. First things first, have a safety meeting. Talk about what you're doing for the day. Talk about fire exit. Talk about how many people should be in the room. Talk about the things that need to be addressed in front of the whole crew so everyone's on the same page. We want to talk about the things that could potentially be dangerous so everyone is aware of it. Do a safety meeting at the beginning of your day or at the beginning of the scene that could be dangerous. At the very least, talk about how the hell someone can get out of the space that you're in, because anything can happen. Maybe there could be a fire, who knows? People have to know how to at least evacuate. Do a safety meeting. It's super important. A safety meeting every day. All right, next thing is stunts. Stunts could be a fight scene, could be with weapons, could be with guns, could be with cars. Whatever the stunt is, my first rule when doing stunts on set, take it slow. You can't do enough rehearsals as far as I'm concerned. Take it slowly. Do half speed, do quarter speed rehearsals, do rehearsals without the dangerous elements, like without full speed car chases, without the knife, without the gun. Whatever the case may be, whatever the stunt is, always take it slowly. I know everyone wants to get the scene done, get their day, save money, not go into overtime, blah, 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 blah. First of all, allot enough time to do the stunt, and then take your time, do it slowly. Now, I talked a little bit about this when I talked about having a safety meeting. Have a clear path to an exit. Like, if a fire breaks out and you don't know how to get out, or you're trying to climb or jump over all this gear and equipment, that's unsafe. It is so hazardous. You have to make sure you have a fire lane. You have to make sure you have a clear path out of the space that you are shooting in. People have to know how to get out, and you have to have a clear path. Now, this is very unpopular because a lot of crew members fucking hate me for this, because I always tell crew members, straighten up your gear, get things organized, because You have to have a clear path out of the room, out of the house, out of the building that you're shooting in, out of the lot, the warehouse, whatever it is. Tidy it up, because I am not having anyone get trapped in here if anything happens. I mean, for all you know, a building could collapse. Who the fuck knows? Have a clear path out of wherever you're shooting. When it comes to weapons on set, like I mentioned before, it's just stepping right back to the safety meeting. Make sure that you have a safety meeting that is talking about the weapon or whatever you're using in the scene. You want to make sure that people are all on the same page about whatever weapon you are using. Also, the weapon should not be real. You should not be using real knives or real whatever, real bats or real guns. Now, I know that people will make the argument of like, oh, well, you need real guns to do this, that, and the other. You don't. CGI is a really, really great thing. You don't need real guns. Now, during the safety meeting, when you're talking about the weapons, if it is a rubber knife or a rubber replica gun, you want to make sure that you can actually show people that it bends, or that you can actually have people touch it to make sure everyone is comfortable with whatever weapon you guys are using in the scene. Also, you want to make sure that the actor is aware of this as well, because sometimes safety meetings happen with the actor not even being there. So, safety meeting about the weapons. You don't need to use real weapons. And also, when you are rehearsing, you don't necessarily have to use whatever weapon is going to be in the scene right away. You want to make sure you have other elements straightened out, squared away before you even bring in the weapon. When it comes to lifts and heights or any place where someone might be very, very high off the ground, if it is possible, you want to make sure that that person is tethered and harnessed to something secure to make sure they do not fall to their death or to major injury, okay? Some people are like, oh, she's being dramatic, but listen, you do not want anyone falling 2-3 stories off a lift or whatever. Also with rooftops, people shoot a lot on rooftops, and you're not always going to have a railing or a barrier or anything that is going to prevent someone from falling over the edge. If you are a producer, if you're an AD, you want to create that barrier to make sure that crew are aware to stay 10, 6, 12 feet from the edge. And also, you want to limit the number of people who are on that rooftop. If they don't need to be there while we're rolling, if they're not doing anything, they don't need to be there. Now let's talk about working on live roads and streets. First of all, you're going to want safety vests. You're going to want people calling out when cars are coming down. You want them to make sure that the crew is aware that the street is open, that there are vehicles coming down at them. We want to make sure that they're not in the street if they don't need to be, because sometimes what happens, we'll shoot on the sidewalk and then some of the gear will be in the street, or they're setting up lights in the street. You want to make sure that people are aware that the street is open. But how about this? How about making sure that you can get a permit, get some cops, making sure that the streets on both sides are locked up and we can close the road to make sure no cars are coming at crew members. Don't pick locations where you can't close a road. I don't even understand. It's not even worth it. Don't pick locations where you can't control the world around you. Spend some money, get the permits that you need. Now, all of that doesn't even account for the fact of getting enough sleep, making sure that your crew is not exhausted and they don't work sloppy and they don't make simple mistakes that could be avoided if they just had more sleep. As a first AD, I've definitely been in that position, that tough spot where a director or a producer, they ask for something and I'm like, holy shit, that's super unsafe. And I have definitely, I mean, I don't want to say, yeah, I had the backbone to say, no, we're not doing it, but I definitely did. I was like, no, I'm not going to have something happen to the actors. I'm not going to have something happen to the camera operator, the crew, whatever. I'm not going to let it happen. Perfect example is a short that I did, and the director wanted to like have a roll gate come down and the actor's hand go underneath, and I was like, nope, not doing it. We don't have anyone operating this roll gate. I'm not putting a real person's arm underneath an operating roll gate that we can control. I'm like, I'm not gonna have an actor lose their arm on set. Another scenario I had was a director who had a fight scene and no stunt coordinator, and after talking with the actors, you know, the director told me like, oh, they're comfortable doing it, they're comfortable doing it. I was like, they're comfortable with so-and-so throwing a punch at so-and-so, and you guys are okay with that. Have you rehearsed this? No. So how are they comfortable with it and no one even like went over choreography with them? So I took it upon myself to ask the producers and the UPM, like, we need to invest in a stunt coordinator, we need to get this fight scene underway, we have to make sure that we have rehearsals and we do it safely to make sure that no one ends up with like a broken nose or a black eye or anything. And that was my call, because if not, if I wasn't there to step in, they would have just had these actors like doing some crazy shit on camera and they probably would have been injured. Like most, 100%, they would have been injured. So what happened on the set of Rust? Apparently the story goes like this. That crew was already doing long days on top of an hour commute from Albuquerque because the producers did not want to pay for hotels. They had 3 accidental gun discharges leading up to the fatal shooting. On day 12, during a rehearsal, the first AD handed Baldwin a gun saying "cold gun on set," which means that it is not loaded. They do a rehearsal, he draws it from his holster, everything's fine. They do another one, draws it from the holster again, gun goes off, hits Hutchins, goes through her shoulder, and then also hits the director. Now, there's a lot of things to unpack here, and there's a lot of things that really upset me being a first, and I can't help but really put fault on the first AD. And say what you must, I don't care, but honestly, I get really, really upset listening to this scenario. First of all, why was there a cart of weapons just out in the open? This story does not talk about the armorer being anywhere near this cart of weapons. And yes, this could be something of, okay, I don't know all the details to it, but I feel like even if we simplify it, the simplified version, if it was done right, would be the armorer handed the gun to the actor, because that's how it's done. There is no world where a first AD should be touching the weapon and giving it to the actor. That does not happen. Now, I have discussed this with many people, and people wanted my opinion about this. It is very, very upsetting because I just don't think anyone should be dying for shit like this. It was something that totally could have been avoided. So, okay, as far as I'm concerned, I am not qualified as a first AD to handle any weapons on set, especially if it's a real gun, loaded or not, okay? So the second thing I have a problem with is cold gun on set. There was no inspection of the gun, and this is what really needs to happen on set. As a first AD, the armorer will be in front of me, they will like let me look at the gun, they will let me see if there's anything in it, and then I would confirm whether or not it's cold or not. So obviously the gun was not inspected, and this really upsets me. Where the hell is the armorer? Why is the first AD touching the gun? Okay. In all the sets I've worked on with guns, I've done a lot of action things. And wherever the gun is, wherever the weapons are, whoever's taking care of the weapons, and I've worked on indie stuff and we've had weapons, that person who's handling the weapon is there no matter what. And they do not let it leave the set. They do not let the actor walk off with it. I just can't fathom how the hell this would happen if someone was actually like, doing their job, being on it, and taking it seriously. Like real fucking guns. And I cannot believe, I honestly cannot even, I just can't. It's very upsetting. Now, from what I've read about this rehearsal is, first of all, if you are, doing a rehearsal, we use finger guns, man. I'm sorry, we go bang, bang, bang. We don't do the real guns first thing up. Like, and from what it says, they were still setting up camera and they were still looking at angles and stuff like that. They were still setting up equipment. So why the fuck are we pulling out the hot stuff straight away? Bang, bang, bang. Like, I've worked on the equalizer that I moved in so many guns, and it's always like, we use finger guns first. Or a rubber gun at least. And everyone knows it's a rubber gun. Like, I don't understand why straight away we're using a real gun, like straight out the gate. Also, if it was a rehearsal for him, Alec Baldwin, to get the gun out of his holster, why are we doing this right in front of the camera? Like, why are we like, I don't understand why we're trying to get him to get the gun out of the holster. Like, do that in a private area so he can figure that out in a private room away from everybody else. There are so many things that infuriate me about this, and it kind of makes me feel like I wish I was there to try and prevent this situation. That day of the shooting, Hutchins' camera crew walked away from the set because of their complaints about it being unsafe. And the only thing I keep thinking is like, why didn't she walk away too? I know how passionate DPs are about their work and they love working on stuff, they love it. I know they love it. But if it's unsafe and you are trying to vouch for your team, I just wish she walked away with them, because then maybe they would have had to, like, you know, shut down for a few days, reevaluate something, like, okay, maybe we're doing something wrong here. I mean, the whole camera crew walked away and that wasn't enough for producers to be like, oh wait, I think we're doing something wrong here. There's also another detail in this that kind of is like, what? It just makes me so confused, is if it were a blank in the gun, does a blank from that far of distance, because I'm thinking, okay, if we have like a camera about this much, and then she's behind the operator apparently, and maybe like Alex another like couple feet away, like, can a blank have the power to go through her shoulder? Because it goes through her and then hits the director behind her. I just keep thinking, like, this woman died because a bullet went through her, and she obviously died because loss of blood. I'm like, first of all, was there a medic nearby? On a Western where you're gonna have all these old guns, like, why is the medic not, like, right next to camera? I don't understand. These are the details I wish I knew and I wish they were reporting, and I just want to know more about. Because the stupidity, I think, or the oversight, it's so upsetting. Like, I don't even understand if it were a blank or, like, that had to have been a real fucking bullet. That had to be a real bullet. That had to have been. It just really, really hurts my, like, heart, and it hurts my soul to know that that woman died just because she was on set and she wanted to work. She was doing her thing, and she died on set and she didn't have to. And it's like very, very upsetting. It's very scary, because I've had a lot of people reach out to me and be like, what's happening on film sets now? Like, what the fuck? And it's like, it's ridiculous. My friend just texted me about that. She's like, don't work on indie sets. Don't work on indie sets. The fact of the matter is, we do some dangerous stuff on set. But me wanting to be a DGA AD, almost there, and being a first AD on indie sets, like, I do whatever I can to make sure no one gets hurt. I take my job so seriously. And sometimes I get stupid complaints, sometimes I get serious complaints, but I have to make sure they're addressed. I have to. Because I always tell the producers, I always tell the UPM, or I tell the line producer, I'm like, listen, if this happens, you don't want a death on your hands. If there's anything that we can take away from this, is that you have to take safety on set very seriously, and it's not a joke. This goes for people who are running the show, ADs, producers, UPMs, but also crew members. Because there are some crew members where they'll forget to wear their harness when they're up in that lift. Or they'll be like, no, it'll be okay. It's not okay. You take that shit seriously. To my producers and ADs out there that are coming up, to my aspiring producers and ADs, listen to your crew. If they complain, make the appropriate changes. Make an effort to make sure at least people feel safe. Like, listen to them. Just listen to them, make the changes. Do not cut corners. Do not try to save money when it comes to safety of your crew and your cast. Like, don't cut corners. When people cut corners in this industry, people die, and that's a fact. To my crew members out there, or people who are aspiring to be crew members, if you see something unsafe, say something. Just come together and act as a unit and just stand up to production, or all walk away. Don't be afraid to walk away from a job if you think it's unsafe. And don't be afraid to convince other people on that crew, like, hey, we can't be doing this. Producers are wrong. They can't be doing this. I just want to make sure that people are not afraid to say something when they see something unsafe, and don't be afraid, like that stupid little paycheck that you're gonna get on these indie sets are not worth your life or someone else's. Trust me on that. Trust me. I can only imagine the people on set, the crew members, how they felt when Hutchins was like bleeding and they were trying to stop her blood on set. Like, I can't even, it makes me really want to tear up and just fucking cry, because I can't even imagine how these people feel, like what happened on set. Like, no one wants that to happen. Do not be afraid to say something, and do not be afraid to walk away. Now, I've talked to the people who are running the show and the crew members, and I just have to say to the directors. The directors is what we do this for. We do it for your vision. We do it to tell your stories. But also, you have to reel in. Like, you have to reel it in. Like people like to do risky things to get a cool shot, and I want it to look good. I wanted it to look real. Like, we are not, like, we are providing entertainment for the world. And I know entertainment, movies, and TV are very influential, and we have a very strong influence on the world and how the world works and how it like evolves. But also, be realistic. Like, reel it in. Reel in the vision, be practical, and be safe. Like, don't keep pushing for that stupid thing. Like, just don't. Like, I was in a scenario where like we put an actor on a motorcycle and he didn't know how to drive it, for God's sake, and the director didn't care. Please don't do shit like that. Do not. I think all parties in the film industry need to be safe. We need to take it seriously. And I know that as a first AD running sets, I take my job very seriously, and I will do everything I can to make sure people are safe on my sets. And I think collectively, if we're all in this, like, no one wants anyone to die. If we're all in this together, then act like it. And I really, it's all about, I get really, really mad when I think about the fact that it's really all about money, and it's all about cutting corners, and it's all about just trying to get the biggest profit they can off their indie movie, and it really pisses me off. And this all brings me back to the strike, that the agreement they came to just makes me like even more like, it just wasn't good enough. Like, not to get into the whole strike with this video, but it just wasn't good enough, I think. So I know there are going to be a lot of opinions. Please feel free to comment below to discuss this. I am happy to discuss this in the comments. Please be safe on set. To my producers out there, know that you have the power to change the things that are happening on your set. Take that seriously, and you can change things for the better. To my ADs out there, to my assistant directors, your main priority is not making your day. It's not making your day, making sure you get the shots in 12 hours or whatever the fucking limit that you have. Your first priority is safety on set, and I want to make sure that you understand you are the safety officer on set. It's not about making your day. Your priority is safety. So that's it for now, guys. Please be safe on set.